Lone Gold Miner back again with you folks. We have a mission today. We're gonna go and we're gonna hit Nugget Gully. We're gonna hit Ribbon Gold Mine, and there's one more spot. I'm gonna be collecting quartz. I'm gonna collect the most ugliest quartz with iron in it, and I have 3 buckets. We're gonna collect about a half a bucket to a bucket full of quartz from each location, and then what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a little test. Now I'm not gonna, I don't have a quartz, I don't have a rock crusher or anything like that, but what we're gonna do is take a few samples, and then we're gonna see if we can spot some gold in any of those areas. So let's go over to Nugget Gully to add it to the underground mine, and let's go in the waste pile and pick some quartz out. And then we'll go down in the gully and pick out some more quartz that I've tossed off to the side, and on the plan on crushing it and trying it out, see if there's gold in there. But anyhow, let me get the buckets and let's get to work. Anyhow, here's our first bucket. We're gonna label this. We're gonna label this Nugget Gully quartz sample. All right, let's keep that here. We have a rock pick. Let's go look for some ugly quartz. All right, here's a piece I found right here. Take a look at that. A lot of iron, a lot of vugs. Now the reason I'm checking this quartz is because in this area right here, I found beautiful examples of crystalline gold inside the quartz, and it comes from this mine right up here. You can see the waste rock right here. So we're gonna grab some really mineralized quartz here if we could find it, and we're gonna crush it later on. But wanted to show you. What I'm talking about here, so you have an understanding. So this is the hole. Went underground and it went into a eastern direction, and it pops out. It's not very long, but the gold that comes out of here is incredible. High purity, crystalline, and I'm going to take some samples of quartz here, and we're going to see if we can find some fine gold. Anyhow, let's get back to business and look for some quartz. There's a piece right here in the ground. I'm going to dig that out, see if I could dig it out or chip it out, and just toss it in one pile and put it in the bucket. Anyway, before the miners were here, this stuff was working its way down, and a lot of times in the smaller mines, they went for the real rich stuff, and they didn't go into, look for the fine gold. They may not have the time or the resources to develop this mine. Maybe it wasn't, as rich as they wanted it. But we're going to give it a go and see if we can find some gold in this quartz. There we go. As you see, a lot of iron in it. There's seams in here, going through here. Very darkish, brown, blackish. Anyway, I'm going to pop a few of these pieces out, and we're going to toss it right here in a bucket, including this one I found on the surface. All right, it's going to go in there. Check that out. Look at that color. Although the gold may not be visible with the naked eye, what we're going to do is we're going to cook it up and we're going to crush it to very fine, and then we're going to pan it very carefully and see if we get some gold in there. So you see with the hydrothermal solution, when the quartz cracks, or not the quartz, but you have these seams, and where the iron and the other minerals like magnesium, once you have the right temperature and pressures, the gold could precipitate in these regions and form as crystals. So anyhow, let's keep going. My main interest is getting the seams, the parts of the seam, not the whole quartz. I'll try to crack that open right here. All right, let's keep looking here. I see this piece here. And I'll toss it off to the side. Let's continue. We're at Nugget Gully now. So at that waste pile, there was really nothing there but the host rock, slates and stuff. Not much quartz at all. So I'm figuring let's go down to the gully because this material here, this quartz here, has been working its way down for eons. Oh, wrong direction. I have to be careful here because I did spot a rattlesnake over there last week. So yeah, they're around here. Let's go back. And watch your step here. Anyhow, so here's some of the quartz I gathered months ago, and I just tossed it off to the side. It looks pretty interesting. I'm going to crack it open, do a little visual, and take a look at it. I mean, take a look at this. I mean, look at this. Look at it. It's got all kinds of colors in there. There's even purples in some of this. Here's another piece right here. Anyway, I'm going to find a chair and crack some of this and take a look at it with a one of these. Oh yeah, it's really dirty material right there. Let's take a look. You see that color, how mineralized that is? Of course, it means nothing until you crush it and pan it. But you could take a look at yourself. This comes from a producing mine, and this is the quartz that came out of there. Now, they might have high graded it in the 20s or 30s. Who knows? You know, look at this. Look at that color. It's like burnt. Anyway, let me take a look at this. Look at this stuff. Wow, all right. This stuff looks better than the stuff I found in a pile over there. Here's some more pieces I tossed here when I was digging Nugget Gully. So we're going to grab all these and crack them. So far I haven't seen anything with the loop, but it means really nothing. You know, I may just bake it in a fire, get the quartz hot, toss some cold water on it so it gets brittle, and then crush it in a little mortar pestle and do a little handful of samples and see if we get some visibility, some visible gold. I'm no hard rock guy, but you know, I'm learning. Let's crack some of these right here. As you see, I mean, just take a look at this stuff. It has everything that indicates this could have gold in it. Let's pop this one right here. All this quartz is pretty consistent with the stuff I got in the waste pile and in the Nugget Gully itself, which is about I don't know, 200-300 yards away. The quartz itself looks kind of granulated, like granulated sugar, kind of like tempered glass when you bust it. Vugs in there with little small quartz crystal growths. Iron, magnesium, the blondie sands, and whatnot. So anyhow, here's what I got. I got a half a bucket. I think that's plenty for a test. And now we're gonna go to we're gonna head out to another spot and collect some quartz from another area, and see if we could find something. All right, let me just bust this one out, the last one. See how it shatters? I mean, every one of them has the black magnesium in it. All right, folks, got the first bucket. Let's go to another spot and get some more quartz. All right, we're at the second spot. We're gonna call this Soapstone. Slate samples. All right, let's go pick some quartz that's associated with slate and greenstone. There's a nice sample here of a nice little seam of quartz between slate. Let's pop that in there. We'll take a look at this stuff with an eyepiece, but so over here what you have is slates, and then you have ribbon quartz coming through into these slate seams. And you see the color, the iron. Okay. Stuff like that. We're gonna crush this stuff. And we'll see if we get some fine gold in there. There's some stringers going through here. We'll take some samples. And then there's some really mineralized stringers right here. So what I've noticed is the thinner the stringer, the more mineralized it is. The wider, the thicker, it's more of a bull quartz, like a, it's more white, pure quartz, white quartz. Anyhow, we'll take a few more samples. My bucket's almost full. So I'm not sure if this peacock coloring in the quartz is associated with copper chalcopyrites, or is it just iridescent, tiny cracks where it just, when you look at it, it's more on the surface layer. It could be that, because I'm not sure I don't think this area is associated with any chalcopyrite or copper ores. So it must be just tiny fractures in the quartz giving me an iridescent coloring. But anyhow, I'm going to continue looking at this. All right, upon further examination and cracking and looking at the quartz down deeper, rather than the surface, it is iridescence. It's just tiny fissures, cracks, and it's just bouncing back the rainbow color. It's not in the deep into the quartz itself. So anyway, it doesn't mean it's associated with gold, but it was just an interesting observation in the beginning until I looked into it further. All right, here's another spot. Same general area, just another stringer. A lot of quartz on the surface, so I'm going to take a look at this stuff here. Look at this. Look at that quartz structure, that stringer right there between the slate. I'll take a look at that, and then we'll take some more samples. All right, let's continue. As you see, I'm taking a stringer right out between the slate. All right, let's take a look at this. Fresh right out between the slate. Yes. You know, these samples here do not look as exciting as the Nugget Gully samples. I don't see any burnt or magnesium type of very little. I mean, I'm looking at a little bit right now, but not as much as Nugget Gully. Means nothing, of course. You got to crush it. So we'll just take some of this stuff. And we'll give her a run in a mortar pestle. Look at that, how nice that comes out. You know, a lot of this stuff too, just because I don't see any gold here, up in this area here, these stringers, they pinch out. And there could be a paying layer or paying amount of gold in a certain section, and then 20, 30 feet down, it pinches out, and you got to go another who knows how much. So just because I'm looking at this and there may not be gold doesn't mean there's no gold 100 feet below here. But you'd hope you'd find a little bit, right? Hope keeps us going. Especially at $4,000 an ounce, folks. So another observation I made here, you see this dark layer here? Okay, right here, that's where the slate was. So most of the mineralization is associated right at that seam where the contact between the slate and the hydrothermal, the quartz solution comes in, right there down the center. Sure, there's some bugs here and crystal structure, but most of the mineralization, or most of the odds of the gold being, is going to be in this little section here, this little thin layer. I don't know. If anybody knows quartz gold mining and stuff, you could correct me. I am just a novice, learning as I go. All right, let's continue. Hey folks, Lone Gold Miner here. I thought I was shooting a video and I spoke for like 3 minutes and I realized I didn't have the camera on. But anyhow, I'm at the Ribbon Gold Mine. You'll see quartz all over in here. There's a big pile of quartz right there that I tossed years ago. And when I was detecting this area, the gold that comes out of here is it comes from a really thin layer of limonite. A very, it's about a 1/2 inch thick, 3/4 inch thick, and inside there, the ribbon gold grew as a crystal. But as you notice, they didn't crush any of this stuff. There's a lot of white quartz here. So the pieces of quartz I'm looking for is basically the really dirty brown material, because they didn't crush any of this stuff. And there's quartz all over in here. So they were following a very thin seam of heavily mineralized material to look for that gold. So anyhow, we're going to look for that. It's been a long day. There's no way I'm going to be able to crush this stuff today. But I may put out this video. I may just call it, "Come collect quartz with me." Anyhow, let me go look for some pieces. And I'll bring you right back. Anyhow, let's label this bucket Ribbon Gold Mine Sample. All right, let's fill her up. Anyhow, I am finding some pretty mineralized material here, and I am going to grab this and collect that and crush it eventually. So the stuff that I'm looking for is more like this. It's red, and we'll take it. You just never know. All right, let's continue. I'll bring it right back. Okay, here's a pretty, I don't know how I would say it, nasty looking piece of quartz, but we're gonna grab this. We're gonna crush it all. And you know, it's like being an investigator. You know, you got to start somewhere. And that one doesn't look too good. You got to start somewhere and go from there. So here's a piece. You see that quartz right there? Okay, get the sunlight. Okay, you have quartz right here. You have a seam of quartz, and then you have this very, it's quartz and iron. Like it's a separate layer. This is where the gold, I believe, comes from, based upon the pieces of gold that I found. Was found in a very material like this, a nice little ribbon in there. It wasn't inside the white quartz. It was right inside this layer right here, right next to it. Yeah. And then you run into quartz like this, and you're just like, oh man, you know, you gotta take it. You gotta crush this because it just looks incredible. So we're gonna take this with us too. Let me just crack it here, see what we get. It ain't cracking. Cracked. All right. Well, we'll take it and we'll crush it. All right. A little bit longer, I'm out of here. I've been in the heat for a little while, and I'm just about done right here. We will be back here. We're going to be metal detecting for specimens here. But as you see, they were chasing in this vein, the stringer in the mother lode. The vein could have been 3-4 feet thick, 2-3 feet thick, I think. And then you have continuous different stringers alongside of the wall of the host rock. And it may not be in the 1.5 or 2 feet of bull quartz, the quartz, non-mineralized stuff. It could be in the seams right next to it. So it looks to me like, I mean, this is all quartz here buried up. They were not interested in crushing it. They were interested in a very fine, thin layer, a nice little stringer, a very mineralized material. And it could be also pockets, you know, where the seam just peters out, and then, you know, whatnot, they can't find anymore. But nice looking quartz. I did take some, and we'll see what we're gonna get. But if you climb up here with me, you notice that right here, a whole bunch of quartz. Now, who knows? Maybe they were gonna work this. I don't know. You know, nobody knows what they had planned here years ago. There's no record of this. In fact, there's not much record of a lot of mines up here in the mother lode. Most of the records are in the bigger producers, moderate producers, but there was plenty of workings here that nothing was recorded or reported, and this could be just one of them. But you noticed this is an old pile right here. I'm gonna go through eventually, but you see how thick it is here. It's gonna take a lot of work. Whoa! Anyway, I'll take that since I touched it. All right, folks, let's finish up and get out of here. All right, we're done collecting quartz. Let's get out of here. I got a bit of a hike down this hill here, and take care, folks. Thanks for hanging out with me on my little adventure today, collecting quartz from 3 different locations. Hopefully in, what is this? Hopefully in some of this quartz will, you know what? I'm gonna take this too. Maybe not. Hopefully some of this quartz will give us at least some evidence of gold. If not, we just have to move forward and continue. And keep looking, keep searching. Take care, folks. Thanks for hanging out with me, and we'll do this video, and then what we're gonna do is we'll do another one where we're crushing it and panning it out. Take care.